High above the endless green canopy of the Amazon rainforest, a silver jetliner cruised smoothly at 12,000 feet. It was a private aircraft, sleek, silent, and luxurious, carrying a small group of elite scientists and diplomats from different countries. The team was on a top-secret mission to observe a newly discovered meteorite impact site hidden deep within the jungle. They had no idea they were flying over a region never marked on any official map, a forbidden zone whispered about in tribal legends. Inside the cockpit, Captain Neil Adams glanced at his radar. All systems were perfect. ETA to target location is 15 minutes, he said to his co-pilot. Meanwhile, in the passenger cabin, Dr. Lisa Renner, an astrobiologist, was finalizing her notes. Across from her sat Colonel Ivan Petrov, the military representative of the operation. With cold, sharp eyes, he was inspecting satellite images of the crash site. Suddenly, a jolt. The aircraft shook violently. What was that? Lisa gasped, gripping her seat. The lights flickered. Captain Neil's voice cracked through the intercom. Brace yourselves. We've encountered unknown turbulence, possibly birds. We're handling it. But it wasn't birds. From the jungle floor below, hundreds of eyes watched the flying machine. Not eyes of animals, but of humans. Wild, fierce, and silent. They were the Tirak, an ancient lost tribe, untouched by modern civilization. Generations ago, their ancestors had sworn to protect the jungle from any intruder, and legends spoke of firebirds, aircraft, as evil spirits. The Tirak didn't use guns or modern weapons. Their tools were ancient poisoned arrows, spears carved from obsidian, and massive mechanical ballistas made of stone and vine. At the edge of a massive clearing, their leader, a towering figure wearing a mask made of jaguar bones, raised his hand. He pointed at the jetliner soaring above. The command was clear. Bring down the metal demon. Within seconds, a cloud of arrows shot upward. Some were ordinary. Others were tipped with glowing green liquid, a secret blend of poison and volcanic minerals. The jetliner didn't stand a chance. 3 arrows pierced the undercarriage. One struck a hydraulic line. The second embedded itself into the left engine. The third, tipped with the glowing venom, struck directly into the jet's sensor array, short-circuiting the electrical systems. Inside, the lights went black. Engine 2 is out, the co-pilot yelled. We're losing altitude fast, Captain Neil cursed. Emergency landing protocol now. Mayday, mayday. The aircraft nosed downward, spiraling toward the jungle. Panic set in. Lisa clutched her satchel as the plane dropped. Colonel Ivan gritted his teeth, unbuckled his seatbelt, and moved to the cargo hold. He knew what had to be done. As the plane descended, Captain Neil barely managed to guide it toward an open patch of land near a river bend. With a deafening crash, the aircraft skidded across treetops, ripped through vines, slammed into mud, and came to a halt in a shallow ravine. Silence followed. Smoke curled into the trees. Birds scattered. Inside the wreckage, groans of pain echoed. Miraculously, most passengers survived, but the cockpit was crushed. Captain Neil was unconscious, his co-pilot killed on impact. Lisa crawled out of the mangled fuselage, coughing. The air smelled of fuel and wet leaves. The jungle surrounded them like a wall of living shadow. The sun barely reached the ground. She turned and froze. Dozens of Tirak warriors stood at the edge of the jungle, silent and still, their bodies painted with ash and blood, their weapons raised. Then came the sound of a drum. Boom, boom, boom. From the foliage emerged their leader, the jaguar-masked giant. Stay back, shouted Colonel Ivan, stepping out with a strange device in his hand, a compact plasma gun. One more step and I burn the trees down! But the Tirak didn't flinch. Instead, they raised their arms and launched another rain of arrows, this time into the sky, forming a signal. Within moments, more warriors appeared from the trees, surrounding the plane. There was no escape. The survivors were rounded up and tied with vines. Ivan fought back. Firing his weapon, it took down 2 warriors, but he was quickly overwhelmed. They knocked him unconscious with a blow from a stone axe. Lisa and the others were dragged through thick jungle trails. For hours, they traveled deeper into the heart of the forbidden zone, eventually arriving at a village built high in the treetops, a massive canopy civilization lit by glowing fungi and fireflies. Here, the Tirak performed a ritual. They believed the arrival of the Firebird was the return of an ancient prophecy that the sky spirits would descend, bringing both destruction and rebirth. The prisoners were placed inside wooden cages suspended above a deep chasm. But Lisa, ever the scientist, watched everything closely. She realized the Tirak weren't mindless savages. They had culture, belief, and astonishing knowledge of the environment. One night, as the tribe slept, an old woman came to her cage. She whispered in a broken dialect, "You, not demon, You, listener. Lisa nodded. Yes, I am not your enemy. The woman gave her a strange pendant made of bone and crystal. Skyfall not end. Skyfall is test. The next morning, the Tirak prepared for a grand sacrifice. They believed the balance of the jungle had been broken. To restore it, they needed to offer blood to the forest god. Lisa and Ivan were chosen. But just as the ceremony began, a loud rumble echoed through the trees. It wasn't thunder, it was rotors. An army helicopter, black, armed and monstrous, burst into view from the south. A rescue team had tracked the aircraft's emergency beacon. Soldiers rappelled down with rifles drawn. The Tirak panicked. A full-scale skirmish broke out. Bullets clashed against arrows. Explosions lit the canopy. Lisa, still in her cage, screamed as chaos erupted. Ivan, freed by the blast of a soldier's grenade, grabbed his plasma weapon again. But something changed. Instead of running or shooting wildly, Ivan turned to the Tirak and shouted in their language. He had studied it years ago during secret missions. Now he spoke like a native. Stop. We come in peace. They are here to rescue, not destroy. The warriors hesitated. Lisa held up the pendant the old woman gave her. The jaguar-masked leader stepped forward, staring into her eyes. In a moment of eerie silence, he removed his mask. He was young, barely 20. His eyes were filled with conflict. I see now, he said in halting English. The Firebird is not curse, but a mirror. We feared too long. The fighting stopped. The army extracted the surviving team, but this time with a difference. Lisa stayed behind with 2 volunteers, beginning a dialogue between the modern world and the Tirak. They would document their medicine, their history, their culture on their terms. Colonel Ivan filed a classified report. Unknown tribal resistance neutralized. Major discovery. Intelligent, self-sufficient, pre-modern civilization in Amazon Sector 47B. Recommendation. Zone to be declared protected. As the army helicopters left, the wreckage of the plane still lay deep in the jungle, slowly consumed by vines and time. And from the trees, the Tirak watched the sky not in fear, but with understanding. The jungle had tested the intruders, and, in a rare turn of fate, the intruders had passed.